All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and spotlight your video. Okay, will you just start off? You look so gorgeous as always. Will you start off and just tell us a little bit about your story, how you came to find out about It Works, and just your life now because of It Works? Let me see. Can you unmute yourself? I don't think you can. Hang on. There you go.
Hi. Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me, Morgan. I've been so excited about this, you guys. So I love that you gave me Cammie's title, Morgan.
I was like, that's probably. I don't know if that's right.
I'm like, I'll take that as that's prophecy. That's my future title. But no, I'm the director of field development for It Works, and so I get the chance to really support all of the U.S. and do a lot of collaborating with the other countries that we're open in as well, in just being able to bring support, building in the field with everything that you guys have, from resources to promotions to events and all kinds of stuff. So I love what I get to do. And so I want to know, you guys throw it in the chat just because it'll kind of help me as I'm telling my story to know which direction I want to go. How long have you been with It Works? Throw it in there. Morgan, do we have is this a mixture of your whole team, or is this like a certain rank and up?
Yeah, this is just the whole team.
The whole team. Okay, so 1 week. I love it. I'm so proud of you for being on. 1 month, a year. Okay, 3 days. Oh my goodness, you guys, welcome to the family. That's the first thing I want to say. So I live in Nashville, Tennessee with my husband, Chris, and we've got 4 little boys. And I just want to give you guys some history. So I want to tell you how I first got exposed to network marketing. And then obviously I already told you that I'm part of the corporate staff now, so I'm invested here. But I grew up in Michigan, not too far from where Morgan lives, in a little town called Allegan, tiny town. You guys, there was nothing happening there. I lived in the middle of a cornfield and 100 acres next to my grandparents. It was just totally country, nothing going on much, but beautiful place to grow up. And I remember my dad always had this entrepreneurial streak in him. Anybody else like that, where it's you're always thinking of something? He had a decent job. He worked as an engineer by day, but we lived on this farm. So sometimes he would do a crop for extra money, or he would just always doing something for extra money. And it got to the point where my mom at one point was please stop, nothing else. Let's just be normal for a while and try not to do anything crazy. And so he was respecting that. But meanwhile, in our town, we were watching this explosion of network marketing happening. And we were in the backyard, you guys, from some really big network marketing companies. So a lot of people had kind of tried stuff and didn't like it or whatever. Anybody else tried another company and it didn't work for them, wasn't quite the right fit. So we had seen a lot of that. And there was one point in our town where there was this huge buzz because we had a new coach, a new boys basketball varsity coach, teacher in our town. He came in and this team was blowing up. This boys basketball team that had always been kind of a losing team in this small town, ended up going on to win state. They just over the course of just a couple years, they probably could have made a movie out of it. It's one of those sports movies where this, the team that's where you don't expect them to win at all, and then they win the championship. It was that sort of situation. But at the same time, this teacher and this coach was also growing a network marketing business. And so he had 3 kids of his own. Him and his wife were just trying to pay off debt. But pretty soon, it's this buzz all around our town where we were hearing all the other teachers were his customers, and the lady at the grocery store was his customer, and then the principal and the school board, and this whole town, you guys, was getting on board with what this guy was doing. And this is not a town that was strangers to network marketing. They had seen it. It wasn't it was the first time, but it just came at the right time, and it was the right product for the season that people were in, and his business exploded. And so my parents are watching this, and my dad's please let me just try this one more thing, and my mom finally relented, and they jumped on board in this company and ran. My dad went running after his business and just saw great results. He had different pockets of groups that would just explode and blow up, and grew this massive team. And I remember, you guys, the change when it used to be, there was never enough money. My parents had 4 kids. They were trying to support all of us. A lot of the times my mom was a stay-at-home mom during those years. And I remember going from that to 1 month, my parents sat us down and they were hey guys, we don't know what to do. want you to help us make a decision. And we're like, okay, what is it? You know, usually it would be like, do you want to like never go on vacation? Or, you know, it was like, normally that would have been the conversation, but the conversation was, we don't know what to do because we have money left over at the end of the month. What should we do? And so I was like, I don't know, maybe in like ninth grade. And one month I got to pick, and we were able to give money to our youth group leaders so they could buy all their kids' classes. Like they had even less money than us, you know, and just stuff like that, where it was like all of a sudden our whole mindset on money shifted in our family. And the first thing my parents were able to do was like give to other people that had been in the same situation. And so they just watched this growth happen in their business. And I watched a transformation happen in my parents. I watched them gain confidence. I watched them go from being tired and exhausted at the end of a, you know, long working day to like being excited to hop back in the car and drive to another event and tell more people what they have their hands on. And so it went on, you guys, that company paid for all of my college. I went to a private university and studied music and ministry. And my little brother went to a private university as well. And both of our colleges were 100% paid for because of that company. We saw so many financial benefits. My parents got out of debt and recovered from, you know, every other thing my dad had tried as an entrepreneur because of that one company, because it was the right time, because it was the right product. He was running with the right team. And what's crazy, you guys, is that team he was running with, that coach and that teacher that I told you about, is Mark Pentecost. And so I've had the opportunity to watch the Pentecost family. And if you're brand new, you might not know who that is. So they are the owners and the people who started It Works Global. So Mark and Cindy Pentecost started the company. And so you guys, I watched them from the time I was a little kid. They lived down the street. They were friends of ours. I watched them go from living in a little tiny, like 100-year-old farmhouse to massive success that they have now. And you guys, they set out. So they did that company that my dad was a part of. That company didn't last forever. They had one product only. And it was long distance phone service. So it was like, once everybody else figured out how to make that cheaper, like they never created another product and the company went away. They weren't adapting and growing the way that companies do so much now in network marketing. But so the Pentecost had massive success in that company, and they went on to start It Works in 2001. And so, you know, they started our company with the desire to change as many lives as they possibly could. And so all of us that are part of this call right now, you guys are a product of that. And it just makes me so excited to think, you know, in so many different ways, that you're not here by accident. This is not an accident. This is by design. And some of you guys are here because you need to grow as a person. Maybe that'll be the biggest thing you get out of this. Some of you, hopefully all of you, are going to see some financial massive benefits from this. You're going to create relationships you never thought possible. And, you know, a lot of people even like will grow in their faith while they're here. They meet family that they never had family, and now they do. You know, there's so many benefits to being a part of our company. And so just really quick, Morgan, and then I know you have some questions and stuff you wanted to ask, but so it was about 8 years ago. I was in full-time ministry. I was a worship pastor. My husband had gotten into ministry by that point as well. And we were you don't get into ministry for the money, right? Anybody know? And so we were living paycheck to paycheck. We were doing okay, but there was no vacation money. There was no nail money. Can I get a witness? There was no money to ever, like, I wanted a new couch and like redo my living room. And like, I cared about all that stuff, but I was literally looking at my life and going, this is never happening for me. I'm going to be that person with like the 50-year-old smelly couch, you know? And so I didn't want that. I wanted more for our lives. And by this time we had 3 of our little boys. So I had an infant, a 2-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And I mean, I'm talking like weeks old. And sometimes moms, you know this, like something changes in you. You have a baby, or you're thinking about even having a baby, and you're like, I got to do something. I want to prepare for this. I want to make sure, you know, that I love it. Your son is listening. Hi. You want to prepare for what's next, you know? And so I decided I want to give this business a try. So I knew, like I told you, that the Pentecost had started this company, but it just wasn't my time yet until about 8 years ago, you know, and they had started in 2001. So I started, what would that be? Like 2009, maybe. No, sorry, 2012. So 2012 was when I got started. And so I finally got to that point, maybe some of you are there, where I was like, okay, I'm just going to give it a try. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Right? What's the worst thing? Like, just, I spend $99 and I don't make my investment back, but I get some great, at the time it was the body wraps, you know, and I wanted to try them anyway. I just had a baby. But I just decided to just try it. And, you know, they say everybody has two start dates, the day that they like order their kit, and then the day when they actually decide they're going to start doing something. And so I want to declare for you guys right now, if you haven't had that moment yet, let tonight be your night where you actually decide, I'm going to do something with this business. So I signed up right after Thanksgiving, and just a couple weeks later, I was still waiting on somebody to host a party for me. I was like scared to death. I felt like I had to learn everything. And I finally was like, if I don't just do this myself, it's never going to happen. I scheduled my own party. We were doing a lot of in-home parties then. And I know a lot of you guys are doing pop-up shops and in-home parties and stuff now, as well as social. But I scheduled my very first party. And I just remember being scared, you guys. I was nervous. I just was like, okay, these people are going to have to be my guinea pigs, because I'd never done it before. I was living in Phoenix, Arizona. My upline was living in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Like, no one was there to support me. And I just decided I was going to do it anyway. And so I got started and saw just crazy success. Within 4 months of starting the business, our business income passed both mine and my husband's income in 4 months. You guys, this was mind blowing for somebody in ministry. And to fast forward, it's been 8 years now since that time when we started. And so the business was our main income for many, many years. My husband and I were both able to give back our ministry incomes and serve because we wanted to, not because we had to draw an income from the churches. And so that was a beautiful season and time for us. And then about 3 years ago, I was asked to join the corporate staff. So now, I told you at the beginning, what I get to do is kind of support everybody. Instead of growing my own team, I'm helping to grow the company. So I really believe, you guys, that we have our hands on the best opportunity that's out there. But even more than that, like, our products are amazing, and that's great. And a lot of people, that's the first thing they get excited about. But I want to tell you guys, what's going to keep you here long term is the relationships. It's the culture that we've cultivated here. That's just, it's unlike anything else. You guys, there's a lot of other companies out there that are going, how do we do it? How can we do what you're doing? And it's just a really special place to be. So, all right, Morgan, what was next?
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I have heard your story a lot of times in like a lot of different ways, but I've never heard like all those pieces. So that was so cool just to hear, like, I don't know. I wanted you to share the part about Mark, because I love that you knew him before the ranch, before the island, before the plane and all of that stuff that he has now. And like, a lot of times we hear, like, money changes people. And that's not true. I firmly believe, and a lot of people have that like money mentality, which we're going to talk a little bit about money mindset later, but so many people have this like wrong perspective that money is going to change who you are. And people are afraid to make a lot of money because they think that it's going to make them a bad person. But I truly believe that money just makes you more of who you already are. And so Mark and Cindy are genuine people with integrity, and now they're even more genuine with more integrity, and they already had the heart to give, and now they're able to do it in like lavish ways. And so it's so cool to me to see that, and to see that somebody who did do, that he was a coach and a basketball coach and all these things, and we hear about that, but it's cool to see somebody that like actually knew him back then. And not only that, but that he actually, like, you've seen him grow in like all of these different ways, and people can put on this like front almost whenever they're in this position to seem like, oh yeah, like, whatever, just to like seem humble and to seem kind, but he genuinely is. And I've had the immense privilege of being able to sit across from him at dinners and shake his hand and, high five him at different events. And he is just the most down to earth person. And I wanted y'all to know that because of what she said at the end, because it is about the culture. When you know that that is the man who is leading this company, you trust it more. When you know that that is the person who you are giving, that created this for us to have this, like, you take it a little bit more personally. You have this like responsibility, like, I want this to work, and I want to, I always think like, I want to make him proud. I want to make Mark proud. So whatever your reason is for hearing that, just know that this business is so much more than just wraps or just more than just the coffee. It's who we are. It's a culture. We have an amazing staff, including Maribeth, of course, who is just like leading us in the corporate field, just to help us do what we do every single day. So it's so cool to hear that. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. So, okay, we have tons of people that are going for bonuses. So drop in the comments what bonus you are going for. Ruby, diamond, double, triple, what are you going for? Are you re-ranking, getting some of those bonuses too? Super exciting. Okay, so keep dropping those. As we drop those in the comments, we have some new people too. We talked about that earlier, how long people have been in and everything. So, what would you say to these people who are just starting to build their teams and they're just now starting to enroll some of maybe their first distributors, or maybe they took a break for a little bit and they were enrolling like crazy around, summer of last year, and then they just kind of took a break and now they're rebuilding their team, they're reworking their charts, and they're going for these bonuses, and now they're ready to really train their team. What would you say to somebody that's trying to step into that transition as a leader in this business, somebody who's helping other people be successful?
Oh my gosh. Well, the first thing that comes to mind, you guys, is don't be afraid to shoot really high. Shoot really high in your business. I know for me, I came in and I was like, I'm just going to start with printing the diamond chart, right? I stuck that thing on my fridge and I was like, this thing is not coming down until it's done, and just fought for that until it was done. And I think sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. Like, we're scared to say that we want that more, or that we want, maybe you're just brand new and you're like, I actually want triple, but I put diamond in the comments because I was scared someone was going to think I was crazy, And I remember that feeling. I remember like working up the courage to tell my upline, who was Cammie, like, I want to make 6 figures a year by the end of this first year. And I remember her going like, okay. And I remember I was like, okay, like, that's not a big enough goal, or like, okay, like, people don't say that, and I realized, what's that?
That was such a good impression of her. Okay.
I know. Well, I think we have the same like tiny town accent. So people sometimes are like, I can't tell the difference between you guys when you talk. But I just remember being like, is that good? Is it not? But the reality is, you guys, you've got to set that goal. You've got to set it. And then you guys have all heard like fake it till you make it, right? But really it's more like just be it until you make it. You got to just be that leader. And I know for me, it was like, I had a great upline, but she was states away. And she didn't come and get in the room with me and kind of really shepherd me through like a party or anything like that until I was emerald, like it was months. And so I was like, I am not going to wait until she shows up to help me do this. We had planned for her to come, but I'm like, I'm not waiting. I need to prove to myself that I can do this and do it first. And so I just stepped into it, you guys. No one ever gave me permission. They didn't say like, okay, now you can lead. I just was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to do it. And you guys, I come at that with, like I'm a risk taker. So I do have that kind of on my side in regard to that, but I was coming in with no experience, you guys, zero. I had never sold any direct sales, nothing. I'd never been in any kind of sales. In fact, the idea of sales scared me. What I did know was that I love people. I love people and I love to invest in people. And I also like to achieve and win and go after stuff. And so I literally just figured it out, you guys. It was like day by day. And I think that's the thing. If you're going for a rank that you feel like is really going to make you step up, your leadership should always be beyond your title, beyond your rank, and beyond your pay. It's got to be beyond that. So if you're going for diamond, mentally, you want to start developing yourself and thinking like you're a double diamond or a triple diamond. Okay. You're always going to want to shoot higher than what you're looking for. If you're brand new, don't let any of those terms or any of what I just said freak you out. What you're thinking right now is you're going to look for those first 3 people for your team, because those are going to be the people that are going to, you're going to need them to take you all the way to the top, and you want to continually recruit into your team. But as you're talking to them, you guys, even if you've never, signed the first person, you're telling them with the same amount of conviction where you're headed. Maybe you're not diamond yet, or you're not double or triple yet, but you can tell them exactly where you're going with tons of confidence, and just go through, explain exactly to them where it is you're headed and what you're doing, because that can make such a big difference. But I think that's the thing, you guys, don't be afraid to say what you want. And maybe there's safe places for you to do that, and there's other places where you want to hold back, and that's okay. But find somebody to tell what you want, what you're going after, and then tell yourself it every day. You guys, I read something the other day that said you should write like 15 times in your own handwriting every single day what your goal is when you get up in the morning. Just write it. I am diamond. I am diamond. I am diamond. You're going to drill that into your head constantly. Okay. And then you want to grow yourself to that place. You want to start as you have the time. Not even as you have the time, make time every day to listen to a podcast, listen to an audiobook, read a book, find some way to start upping your leadership as you go, so that as you grow into those promotions, your head's already there. It's there and then some.
No, that is so true. I love what you said about just like showing up as the, like what you want to be, you know, show up as a triple diamond, think ahead to where you want to be, and then start to, you know, do what those people do. Like, what is it, if I'm going to try to be a triple diamond, what does a triple diamond do every single day? You know, they post every single day. They're showing up to events. They're getting to conference. They're getting to green carpet. And then they're getting on Zooms like this. If that's what a triple diamond does and that's where I want to be, that's what I'm going to start doing. And so that's so important, for sure. So, okay, the next question, sorry, this is going to be.
Wait, hang on. Sorry, Morgan, really quick.
Yeah.
I got to add something because I'm reading this book right now called Atomic Habits. If you guys have not read it, get your hands on it. But one of the things that I was reading and I thought, I wish I knew this 8 years ago, 7 years ago, last week, like I wish I knew this information before, is like winners and losers they have the same exact goal. They all have the same goal. So we can say, I want to be triple diamond, I'm triple diamond, or I'm president. We can say those things, but the habits have got to get behind them to get there. So like something you said, Morgan, made me think like, you know, you got to think, what are the habits that a diamond would have? What are the things a diamond would do? How would a diamond behave? Would a diamond get up a little earlier every single day to put out some messages, to plan her posts, you know, to send samples, whatever it is? What would a diamond do? And you've got to start creating those habits in yourself, because you can't just set the goal. You have to figure out how on earth you're going to get there. And it's going to take some elbow grease and some work. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. I'm happy to share that because I love that book. And that's definitely something that I've been trying to teach my team too, because, you know, I'm like, okay, what does your chart look like? And they're like, oh, well, this girl, she's doing really good. She said she wants to go diamond. So she's in the diamond spot on my chart. I'm like, okay, you know, is she posting every day? They're like, well, she hasn't posted yet, but she's been in for a month and a half, but she wants to go diamond. And I'm like, okay, but everybody wants to go diamond. If you know, stood there with your hand, you know, and you're like, here's $1 million. Do you want it? Everyone would say yes. But would they do what it takes to actually get to you to take it out of your hand? Not everybody would. And so you have to make sure that, yeah, the things that you're doing every day line up. And that's so true. I love that. Okay, so this question I didn't actually include in my list of questions to you. I'm like super red, like love to be organized. So it's throwing me off that I didn't already send this to you. So hopefully it's not going to throw you off. But I thought of this question later. So it's basically, how did you get through the times in your business when you felt like you were showing up, just like what you said, like you're showing up, you want to go diamond, you're doing all the things, you are waking up early, you're posting, you're messaging, and you're doing all of the stuff that a diamond would do. You're doing what it takes. You really genuinely are, but you're not seeing the results from it yet. What do you do to kind of push yourself through those times and to even make a difference so that you do start seeing those results?
Okay, I love it. So 2 parts. Number 1, again, this is an example from that same book, just because it's on my mind, but think of the idea, you guys, of bamboo. I heard this analogy in there and it's like awesome. And I shared this with a couple of your team, I think already, Morgan. But bamboo, you guys, grows. I finally started reading the book, by the way. Last time I gave it, I hadn't read it yet. But bamboo grows underground and creates this intricate root system for like 5 years before you barely see anything above the ground. And then within a matter of like about 30 days or so, it can shoot up to 90 feet. Like just like that. It's ridiculous. And so that's the first thing I want you guys to think about. I'm not in a discouraging way, like just keep doing everything for 5 years. You're never going to see, like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you do the work. That's your part. You do the work and you keep going after it and you do the things and you create the habits and you're going to see the results from it. It's not always instant. It's not always the way that we would choose, but you know what? We're not always ready for the success that we want. sometimes we've got to get there. We've got to grow through some stuff. If everything was easy, I promise you, we would all be super cocky and not giving and not compassionate. Some of those things that we have to pick up on, or should pick up on as a leader, we have to go through some stuff. So there's some of that happens. The second part though, is if you're doing all the things and you feel like you're doing everything right, you've got to be humble enough to ask some people around you to take a look at what you're doing, to ask for some feedback, whether that's a sideline, an upline, sometimes it's even a downline, and just asking, hey, can I get some feedback from you? Here are the actions and the things that I'm doing. Here are the scripts that I'm using. Sometimes it's a matter of just tweaking scripts and stuff like that. Do you have any suggestions for me? And I know you guys, sometimes it's scary to ask for feedback, but even if you just say, what should I be doing more of? What should I be doing less of? And even sometimes you guys, it's with many people, I feel like it's not even, they've got great, they have good scripts and they have good practices, but they're just not finding the time. They're not making the time to work their business. So it's somebody looking at their schedule with them and going, you're going to miss The Bachelor this season. I'm real sorry. You're going to need to work during that time and you can catch up after you go diamond, or it looks like you're going to have to start getting up a little bit earlier. You can't have a glass of wine at night because you need to go to bed earlier and get better sleep so you can get up at 5 and do, it's just looking at your life, looking at the things that you're doing in your routine that maybe you can reduce a little bit. That means sometimes trading off childcare. If you don't have the money to get help with kids, you and a friend say, hey, every Thursday, would you take the kids for 2 hours and I'll do the same for you, and just like get creative. And while I'm on it, moms, like so many times I think they're afraid to ask for help, whether it's a significant other or a parent or somebody else. They're afraid to ask for help. And sometimes it's not because they don't want to inconvenience the other person. It's because they're not willing to let go of that control of the kids. And I just want to tell you guys, the sooner you can start to do that with somebody who's trustworthy, the better. You need to be able to have that kind of trust so that you can invest some time, some dedicated time in your business, because that multitasking business is hard. It's hard. And it's whenever you can get some dedicated time, it's really, really refreshing, dedicated to your business and then separately dedicated to your family as well.
I love that you said both, because it can be both. Like you can 100% be dedicated to this business and dedicated to your family. We're actually going to talk a little bit about that later on. But no, that's so good. And I think that, there is a way that you can shift small things, and it may not be like that you need to just like do a total 180, and usually that's not the case. It's usually just little things that you need to tweak, and doing those little things will help you to pinpoint what you actually needed to fix. Because if you change everything, you won't know what it is. You won't know what was actually tripping you up. So don't accept where you've been as where you have to be. Like just because you're like, well, I'm just like not a mass distributor enroller. Okay, well, you don't have to be a mass distributor enroller to be successful with this business, but stop speaking that over yourself, because you sure as heck could be. You could be a mass distributor enroller, and wouldn't that be really cool if you had more people to change their life and bring them into this business? You're earning more bonuses, you're helping more people, you're filling in your charts. Why not you? So don't just accept where you've been as where you have to be, and that's just who you are. You can change those things. So reach out to your upline, reach out to your sideline, and figure out what are some things that you could switch up. So, okay, the next thing is, what mindset do we need to have, like, as we're in this momentum season, getting these bonuses? We kind of talked about this a little bit with the last question, and just like, trying on who you want to be, becoming the person that you want to be, switching up some habits. But what are some mindset things? Because, you go into this and you're like, oh gosh, like I'm scared. I don't want to claim a rank. I don't want to put it out there. I'm so nervous. Like it's just like a lot. So what would you say to somebody, no matter what rank they're shooting for, just to encourage them, and what mindset should they have?
Okay, that's such a good question. So I think you guys, when we make a decision, like I'm going to run like my hair's on fire in this season and I'm going after, say double diamond. When we make that kind of decision and we set out, we say, okay, here are the actions I'm going to take to that end. If we don't follow through with that, what it does is it breaks trust in ourselves. Like we stop trusting ourselves. It's like when you set an alarm for 6 a.m. to get up and work your business and you shut it off. The next day you're like, why would I do that again? I'm just going to shut it off. No, you've got to trust yourself enough and be reliable enough with yourself that you're going to follow through with what you're going to do. And even you guys, even if you get to the end of this crazy season and you're like, I didn't quite hit my goal, I promise you, you're not going to be disappointed that you're that much closer, that you've grown that much more, that your check is up and your team is growing, and you would never be disappointed by those things, you know, truly. So I really think you guys, when you look at just your year as a whole, there are certain seasons where it's going to feel like maybe a little bit unbalanced, but it's just, when you look at the year as a whole, it ends up, it's okay, right? It evens itself out, and you find maybe if you're doing a little less recreation during the season, or a little less like, you know, you go to one family night instead of 2 a week, or whatever it is, you make some adjustments. It's going to be okay. And this is one of those seasons when we're going after bonuses right now, when we're looking at new products or wanting to get out there, you know, and you're wanting to grow your team and you're wanting to hit these new ranks and these new income levels. You guys, it is time to just put everything into that. Your efforts need to be really looking at recruiting new team members, looking at bringing in new customers, and being super consistent on social and in everything you do. And that the mindset that's behind all of that, you guys, goes back to consistency, goes back to believing in yourself and not allowing, you know, things that could hold you back to hold you back. Like right now, you guys, in the comments, if you feel comfortable, put in there, like, what is your greatest fear right now? What is keeping you from running after your biggest dream? What is it? What is that thing? Are you just afraid of failure? Are you afraid, yes, disappointing a family member, building it and it collapsing again? Like, those are the things that we're scared of, you guys. But now what I want you to think about is, if you were your biggest cheerleader, what would you say to yourself? You know, and if you don't have somebody that's your biggest cheerleader, then pretend you do. And you yourself, this is going to be weird, but you have to become your own biggest cheerleader, you know, because you can't always get on the phone every time with that biggest cheerleader person and say, hey, what do I do now? Or I feel like a failure. I feel like this just happened. I just got to know. You can't always get on the phone right away. So I want you guys to teach yourself to be that person. Okay. So put in the comments, what would your biggest cheerleader say to you about that fear? What would they say? Would they say, your family's still going to love you if you don't, you know, get everything you want to get? Would they say, you can do this? You have what it takes. You got to think, you guys, really like tap into yourself. Be scared and do it anyway. I love it. You were made for this. You're a baller, so you can do it. I love your comments. They're the best. But you guys, you've got to tap into that strongest part of yourself during this season. Okay. The part of yourself that, like, when you're feeling like this really great moment and you're on the mountaintop, that's the kind of thing we got to channel this whole season. And that doesn't mean that you're not having ups and downs. It doesn't mean you're not going to have some crappy stuff happen, or, you know, get a no or whatever. That's just life. That stuff's going to happen. But it means maybe you have sticky notes everywhere in your house. Maybe you have one on your car, one at your job, one in your freezer, like everywhere, that are going to say those positive things that you need to hear, written to you from, you know, a motivational place, or, you know, that cheerleader, or from yourself as you cheer yourself on and as you pick yourself up throughout this time. Because you guys, that is the thing that's so key. There are many people who have the skills. Every single person on this call, you guys have the skills to be able to do what you're trying to do with the business. There's no question in my mind. You have everything you need to do it. It's just a matter of if you decide you're going to, and if you can keep the mental stamina to just stick through it and go. You guys, I went to a speaking coach one time when I was really just kind of getting into public speaking, probably about like 6 years ago. And I remember going to her and saying, like, I love speaking, but I just feel like I don't have anything to talk about. Like, I need to go to like seminary or speaking classes. I need to, you know, get some more content. And she said, Maribeth, you have all of the experience. If you never got any more experience or any more stories in your entire life, you have enough content right now to speak for the rest of your life. And I was like, what? Like, I thought she was insane and crazy, but the reality, you guys, is it is in you. It is in you. Everything you need is in you. And it's whether or not you decide to do it. And you guys, I'm telling you right now, there are people every day that decide to do it. Every single day. And so my question to you is, why not you?
Woo, that is so good. Just speaking life. I'm trying to remember what I was gonna say. I was like just so enthralled in what you were talking about. Oh, what was it? Oh, so yeah, another thing that I do too, and this is gonna sound weird to some people, especially if you're not somebody that likes selfies or videos, I don't know. And I don't do this a lot, but what I did this last year was whenever things were really, really, really good, I took a video and I talked about like, oh, this is how I feel, like I'm so excited, like, and I just like went crazy and like I was on the mountaintop. And then later on in the year, things in my personal life had happened, things in my business had happened, just a lot of things happened. And I took another video. And I cried in that video. If you're on my team, you're like, what? You cried? Yeah, I did. It was crazy. Like, it was a very emotional, raw video. Literally took it really quickly, just real and raw and vulnerable. And I took this video and it was just me saying, this is what I'm going through. This is how I feel. So it's like a journal, but it's like a vlog journal. So I'm, going through all the things I feel, all the things that are hurting me, all of the, things I have been learning through all of this, but I've been learning this and, God's teaching me this through this. And it was really healing to get all of it out. But now I have that video and I'm going to go back and watch it on that mountaintop and be like, she fought and now look where she is again. And like on those days where I have those valleys, I go back and look at that video when I felt really good. And I'm like, if I got there once, I can get there again. I didn't lose anything from then to now that I had then and that I don't have now. And so I know that God's not only going to bring me back to that place, but further beyond that. And so that's something that I do too. And it's just really, journaling, videos, whatever you want to do, to just remind yourself of those different periods of time in your life, because you're going to have the ups and downs. But the other thing too is just with the promotion, deciding that you're going to do it. Because the word decide, and I don't know where this just came from in my head, but I learned this, I think, in a sermon maybe, but the Latin root of the word decide comes from, it basically means to cut off any other options, like to cut everything else off. And so when you decide I'm going diamond, you've cut all other options off. Like there is no other way except going forward. You can't go back. You can't stop in the middle. You have to keep going. And so if your only place to move is forward and you don't allow yourself to go this way, or back, you can only keep going forward. But so many of us leave that out option. We're like, yeah, I'm going to go diamond. But if I don't, then fill in the blank. It's going to be okay. Or if I don't, then I'll just hit it the next month. If I don't get a bonus, it's okay. Like, stop giving yourself the out, because as soon as something hard comes in your path, you're going to take the out every single time, and you won't hit your rank or your goal or whatever it is in life or in this business if you give yourself a way out. If you go into anything and you say, well, I'm going to do this, but if I don't, then I'm just going to do this. How many times have you given up whenever you went into a situation like that? But if you go into it knowing this is my only option and I've decided that I'm cutting off every other opportunity and I'm going after this, it's gonna happen. If y'all were with me when we went presidential, that's exactly what we did as a team. We were like, boom, we're deciding to do this. I don't know how it's gonna happen. You don't have to know how, you just have to know why you want it. And the how took care of itself. God volume just started raining from the ceilings. We were doing all the work. We did all the things. We were praying through it. Like, I mean, if y'all were here with me whenever we went pres, go ahead and drop a 1 in the comments, because y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. It was nuts. And we just decided. And I talked to Cammie that month, and I was like the 6th of October last year in 2018 when we decided that we were going to go presidential. And I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. Why haven't I hit this rank? And some of you may be feeling like that too right now. And you're like, I don't know why I have not hit double diamond yet. Like this, I've just been trying so hard for so long to hit this rank, and it just hasn't happened. And I don't know why. I told Cammie the same thing, and she said, Morgan, there's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't decided yet. You just haven't decided that you're going to go after it. So I want you to go and decide to do it today. I want you to go live on your Facebook in your team page, and I want you to tag me in it. Add me to your team page and tag me. I was like, oh, okay. That's a lot of pressure. Sounds good. So I did, and I cried in my video. All my team was like, yes, we're going to do it. So it was a decision. And guys, it was the 6th to the 8th of the month. We had already done green carpet and a leadership retreat that month before I decided I was going to go for it. It's February 10th. it is not too late. Decide right now. I love what she said earlier, what Maribeth said. She was like, there's 2 days, the day you join and the day that you take action and that you decide that you're going to do something with this. Let February 10th be your day to decide that you're going to do this business and decide to go all in on Ruby, all in on Emerald, all in on Triple Diamond, whatever it is, because if you give yourself a way out, you'll take it. So make that decision. Okay, I love those tips that you gave. All right, so let's talk a little bit about money mindset. That's all that I wrote down for this question because it's not really anything specific, but maybe just some of the lies that you believed in. I know you were in ministry. So I love this question for you because I grew up in the church as well, and there was just a lot of like things that the church taught about money for me specifically that wasn't necessarily true. And I learned along the way, like, wait, God doesn't hate rich people. Like, wait a second. And I just started to retrain my brain. So will you just tell us some of the lies that maybe you used to believe or common ones and what the truth really is?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, this is definitely an interesting topic for me, Morgan, and something that's evolved over time. I think I knew I wanted to go into ministry from the time I was really young. I felt called to ministry when I was like 14 years old. And so I just kind of knew that was going to be my life. And I was okay with it. Like I came right out of college and went right into my career, and always made a fine income. Like it wasn't terrible or anything like that. But, life happens and you have kids and you realize like, you can't, most people have to have extra income in it doesn't almost matter any career that you're in. That's why you see doctors and lawyers and all these people that I grew up thinking were the richest people in the world coming and looking for a stream of income like what we have with residual income here, because it's tough, you guys, to make a living. But I have so many stories spinning around in my mind right now, you guys, because in ministry, sometimes there is an expectation that you almost take like a vow of poverty, to be honest with you. And there's some churches that handle it in a really healthy way, and there's others that really don't. And I've seen other ministry families that are like starving, that really they're not even able to feed their families. And we luckily were not in that position. But we were in a position where my husband and I both worked for the same church, and we hadn't had raises in over 6 years, and we had 3 kids during that time. And I had cut back to part-time so that I could, be home more with the kids. And so we learned what it was like. I used to like constantly be like price matching at Walmart, like buying all of my groceries there and like bringing 15 different ads. Like this was not that long ago. It's so fresh in my mind, bringing all these ads from all the different grocery stores and like going through and be like, hey, these, tomatoes are 2 cents a pound at Aldi or whatever. And just like, I did all the things, you guys, to try to make ends meet. And I remember feeling like real guilty when I went to start my business, such that I didn't tell anyone. I did not tell anyone. My boss, my lead pastor, didn't know I was even doing a side business until I was making about $6,000 a month. And that's when I decided to finally tell him, because I was so scared. And I didn't know if it was okay, and I know not all of you guys can relate to my story as far as ministry background, because that's kind of a niche in and of itself, but you might be able to relate in regard to like, maybe you went to college like I did. I had master's level education and I still wasn't making enough money, and maybe you always thought you were going to be fill in the blank. And here you are doing this and you're wondering, is it okay for me to want to put all my eggs in this basket, or even to split my eggs half and half, with this career that I love and this business? And I just want to tell you guys, I think so many times we want to pigeonhole God and say, this is my exact path. I'm going to get from here to here, and here's what my path's going to look like. God, would you just come alongside and bless what it is that I want to do? And we have to have, you guys, the open-mindedness to know that, first of all, he's just always going to have a better plan than we could come up with. He is, okay? And there's so many paths that can get us where we want to go, or where God wants us to go. And sometimes it just is going to look different. And this is a big passion of mine, you guys, because there's been so many seasons where I've really struggled. Like I would prefer almost any day that you would ask me to be in ministry full-time all the time. I love it. I love ministering to people. I love when I was a full-time worship pastor for 15 years. Like it was my identity in so many ways. It was my life. And I really feel like God has so strongly called me into this industry, into this company, into what I'm doing. And so I had to go through this process of letting go of some of that stuff and saying, you know what, my identity is that I am a child of God. My identity is that I'm going to invest in people in whatever way that looks like, and I realize this is not exactly addressing money yet, Morgan, I'll get there, but just the investment in people and the time, you guys, there's a verse that says God uses the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. And that verse was huge to me when I first got into this, because I thought, here I am in this amazing ministry position. I'm at the top of my game. I had great influence where I was, just really like successful in that world, right? And God brought along these silly wraps, and I was like selling wraps, and I was doing this business, and I was like, why? It didn't always make sense. I just know God was like, do this. And then it started bringing in money for my family, you guys. And then, we were able to like pay off debt, and we were able to get groceries without me having to take 15 different, ads in there with me. I'm still a bargain shopper, by the way, so it wasn't totally eradicated, but it just changed everything. And you guys, for the first time ever, we were able to like really give the way we wanted to give. And so from that perspective, it was crazy. And that's what started to change my heart when I realized we want money in the hands of good people. We want people who are going to give and who are going to serve others and who are going to spend wisely and who are going to just invest in bettering the world and people around them. We want money in those people's hands. And money is it's a tool. It doesn't have to be bad. It's not always good, but what we want people who are responsible and who are growing and who are becoming leaders. Those are the people that should have money in their hands. Am I right? And Morgan, I think you're exactly right earlier when you said with success, people just become more of what they already were. So if you're a good person, and the Pentecosts are a great example, they're incredible people. And I've watched them stay the same, have the same faith, have the same values, have the same integrity over the last however many years I've known them since I was a kid. And yet they're super successful. They're probably the most successful people that I personally know, but they have still hung on to that. There's other people, you guys, I watch grow in leadership and, get more money and do really well and get really successful. And some of their ugliness comes out and their rough edges come out. And if they're lucky or blessed, or if they're taking the initiative, sometimes you can round off those edges and they're coachable and you can teach them how to work through that. And other times they just really struggle, you guys, because we're all growing and we're all trying to get better, hopefully. But sometimes it takes people more time than others. And I encourage you guys to be those people that you're growing now, even going back to the growth thing, you guys, you're growing your leadership now, you're growing your integrity now, you're being full of integrity with your team, you're growing your responsibility money-wise. You guys, I don't care what you're making right now, you need to be saving back for taxes from the beginning of your business. You need to be saving money for your family. Don't go spend every single cent that you're making. Be responsible now, because I really believe the more faithful you are with small amounts, that you're going to be blessed with more and more and more. And God can do that. And he can open those kind of crazy doors if you're bringing that responsibility. So all that to say, you guys, get rid of the lie that money has to be a bad thing. Just because you're looking to earn more income doesn't make you an evil person. It doesn't mean that you're an unhappy person or that you'll never be satisfied. None of those things. You need to be satisfied all along the way, because it's about the journey. It's not just about the destination, right? You need to be enjoying everything that you're going through right now. Thankful for every penny that goes into your bank account from this business, gracious to your customers, to your teams as you're growing. And I really think if you can do those things, that you'll be given more and more and more.
Oh, that's so true. I love what you said about money doesn't have to be good or bad, and that good people need to have the money, because money is going to be in this world whether or not. I just feel like I'm just like chilling, living my best life with my blanket and my tea over here. Anyways,
I love it.
So, like, the money is going to be there. Like, it's not a vow of like noble, like just nobility, like you being so noble, like, oh, you're so great for just choosing to be poor. Like, okay, well, the money is still out there. So like whether you choose to have it or not is a choice. Like you could go and have the money, and who better to have money than people who are going to help the poor with it. People who are going to go and help those that are in need, people that are going to use it wisely to help other people. And the people that like, it's not going to be like somebody else is going to have, like, you're taking money from someone else is what I'm trying to say. Like,
Mm.
you're not taking money from anyone else by you having money, because some people feel guilty about that too. Like, well, why would I try to have more? Like, I can pay my bills, so why would I try to have more if there are people in Africa with no money? Well, you're not taking any money from the people in Africa. They can print like, you can print money all day long. But those people in Africa, is it going to be easier for, and I'm just using Africa as an example, but like, couldn't you help people more with full pockets to be able to go and help them and buy their food for them and build a school for them, like Steph and Joel do? Like, they are very involved in this community. They've been able to build walls and schools and buildings. Could they do that if they were barely scraping and just being able to pay their bills, just being able to afford groceries every month? No. So when you have that excess and that overflow, you're able to do so many good things with this money. So money is not good or bad. It just matters what you do with it. And it just matters about who you are. And I love what you said earlier too about God is not just going to give you everything that you want right away, because if he did, it would eat you up, because you, as you are right now, are not ready for that level. But as you continue to grow, he's going to bless that where you're at. And so be good stewards with your money. Do save, create a savings account, save for taxes, put money away, start investing, all of those things, because that is what God's going to look at and say, wow, like, if you can be a good steward with this, I'm going to give you more. And if you go and you take it and you hide this, because there's like the parable of the talents, and he took it and he hid it. If he gives you this business and you go and you hide it and you don't say anything about it, like, he's not going to go and bless that. He's not going to, think about that and be like, oh, how noble of this person to go and hide to make sure that it doesn't, like, nobody takes it and steals it. No, like, he wants you to go out and multiply that. And he gave you this gift to go and share with other people. So you hiding it isn't blessing anybody. It's not even blessing you, because you're not even utilizing the tool that God gave you to bless you with. So hopefully that made sense. But
Oh
okay.
my gosh, that's such a good analogy. I have to tell you one thing that I just found out. This is insane. So you guys, whether or not like you're a believer, you can totally like acknowledge that Jesus has like some of the greatest leadership that's ever walked the earth, right? And I didn't realize this. I just found out the other day that his ministry was funded by a group of female businesswomen. Did you know that? I just read it. I've just never dug into that, but I just read it in Mark Batterson's book called Double Blessing. And I was just blown away, because I've seen so many women in this business, and men too, but we've got a lot of women that are like funding ministries, that are funding care points in Africa, in South America. Like, we're seeing so much insane stuff happen, you guys. And it's like, somebody has to be that person. Somebody's got to fund these missionaries and tithe to churches so that they can sustain themselves and care for poor people. Like you're saying, Morgan, there's so many things that there's so many needs, and there's some people have to be the ones that step up to meet them. So what a privilege we have.
No, that is so cool. I feel like I've learned so much even just from this, because like, I'm constantly learning more about like money mindset and all the things we've talked about tonight. So I just feel like, oh my gosh, like, this is just so good. Okay, so we have like 2 minutes left. So what is just one last like tip that you would give, or one last like word of encouragement? I know this is kind of like putting you on the spot. So, but what is like one last thing that's just like been on your heart that you would love to share with us?
Well, I know you were going to kind of ask about juggling family life. Is it okay if I go that direction?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you guys, I told you I've got 4 little boys and a husband and a new puppy that all need attention, and I don't work the business the way that you guys work the business, but I do a lot of similar things because I'm working with the field, obviously. But I had a lady who's been in the business for years, a while ago, that gave me some great advice. And she said, when you walk in the door, or like your kids walk in the door, or your husband walks in the door, your significant other, whoever it is, give them your undivided attention for like 15 minutes. Put your phone down, look them in the face, invest the time in them for about 15 minutes. And she said, after about 15 minutes, they're kind of done with you. Like, they're moving on, they're ready to go do something else. And then if you need to grab your phone, if you need to check your phone, if you need to, post or respond to a message, or, book an event or whatever it is, you can do that at that time. And I just love that, you guys, because I think so many times we feel like things are everywhere. They're all over the place, and we can't get a handle on it. And we can't, give our loved ones enough time. And we can't give our business enough time. And we've got day jobs, and we have all these things that are going on. But I just really want to encourage you guys to like plan your time well, segment your time out. I know for me, like I just got one of these little planners that just has every day, like Monday through Sunday, obviously, where you can just write in the date and put down what you're going to do, your goal for each day. I just really want to encourage you guys, get organized and really be present in each moment that you're in. If you're with your kids, your family, whatever, be present. If you're working your business, be present. Lock the door. Tell them you're not coming out till you finish that work, and let those kids see you working. You guys, my kids sleep on the other side of this wall right here. And I was just feeling bad a little while ago because I've been on a couple Zooms in a row, and I'm like, they're probably hearing me like, ah! Like shout and be loud and whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I love that. I love that my kids are on the other side of this wall and they're hearing their mom encourage and love on people. And they know that they can't come in here and interrupt me. They probably would have loved to have by now, you know, but they know that they can't, but they also got dedicated time for me earlier tonight. So I just want to encourage you guys, get serious about your business. And really during this season, invest heavily and run, you guys, like your hair is seriously on fire after the bonuses and after what you want. And you can take a breath after you get there for 2 seconds, and then we'll keep running.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I love that so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for getting on here with us. I know your life is so crazy and you have just all these people wanting your attention. So we appreciate this hour that you spent with us. I know I learned so much. Everybody's saying thank you. My chats are already blowing up just saying thank you. People are texting me saying
thank you guys.
this meant so much to them. So thank you. I'm going to stop the recording.